Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. We are rejoining our Artemis crew here in orbit of the moon. There were 3 of them. I just put all of them in here. Yeah, Sally Boris and Lee Bowman. Okay, they're all here. We're only getting pictures for 2 of them, so I guess hopefully that doesn't matter. But anyway, they have booted up the LEM, gotten its panels deployed, topped off the fuel, jettisoned any waste products for everything, shut down the Artemis module that will sit up here parked in orbit, waiting for their return, inevitably, but it is time for them to undock. Oops, switch vessels. RCS on, stability control on. You've got to be kidding me. Why do I have 0 controls? Oh, I do have controls. Why are these thrusters not firing? Oh, maybe we should unlock their fuel. There we go. Much, much better. And of course we lost the node. So I'm going to go replot that. And because our landing site is about to be directly underneath us. We're just going to give it one more orbit. So hopefully I can figure this out again. I plotted it out once before. I can plot it out again. All right, there's our initial node at 16.8 meters per second in 1 hour. So we'll just go ahead and take a quick save, just in case things go all cattywampus on us. All right, and time warp around. Let's hope these solar panels pick up some of this charge too. That'd be great. We're actually operating at a deficit for most of these orbits. They sat here about 15 days or so. Feels fairly respectable, all things given. But we topped off the batteries here in the LEM just to make sure there's some quality daylight. And good, we're charging again. That's fantastic. Oh wait, no, that's carbon dioxide I was looking at. Yes, we are charging. We are definitely charging. All right, we are within a couple of minutes, so we might as well get angled in here. Good, this thing turns pretty well. Let's see how well it displaces Delta V on just its RCS thrusters. I do not really want to use them. Wow, that is new. Where is that? You giving it input and not me? Yeah, it looks like we can hold ourselves here. Fantastic. I did not want to use the main engine for this, although maybe I should. Activate engine, just to make sure. God, it has 3 ignitions. This is precarious, isn't it? Alright, I'm going to choose to ignore the node because I think that's going to be right underneath us or whereabouts there by the time we get to it. If not, we'll make corrections en route. I'm going to just kind of split the difference here and bring that periapsis down. And as much fun as these things are to do on RCS, this is just one more reason why I prefer engines that have I guess unlimited ignitions. I was going to say many ignitions, but I mean more than 3, like our Lunar Descent engine has. I would even trade it for something that has 5 ignitions at this point. All right, 9 kilometers, about as low as I'm willing to push it. So we just need to figure out the time, how long the burn is going to take to put us right down on top of it. And book. Yeah, that should about do it. 1684. Estimated burn is not applicable. Oh no. That's kind of some crucial information, dude. Alright, well. It says it will take 19 minutes 57 seconds to displace 3,200 meters per second. So we're going to round that down to about 15 minutes or so to displace that much. So when our time to burn is 15 minutes, we're going to go ahead and light the engine. Now, in the meantime, I am also going to divert some fuel. Yeah. Back into these thrusters. A lot more than I thought it would be. Oh, wow. Okay, then. So let's get angled into our node. At the very least, we can do that. Take a quick save and hope for the best. And so we'll just get ourselves moved into position here and then time warp around. Again, we're waiting until we have appropriate time before our node to light the engine so that hopefully we can bring ourselves ballistically down right on top of our station and land successfully, I guess, would be the ideal situation. Alright, there's our 15-minute mark. Let's check the map. Wow, we are so far away. Cannot believe it's going to take that long to displace this much. So you know what? I'm going to give it another minute. This is probably a huge mistake. Yeah, we're at 7 kilometers altitude. We need to light this thing. So, very stable. Ignition, full throttle. So far, so good. And let's just orient ourselves in a manner where I can more easily control this thing and give our good buddy an excellent view of what he's just flown past. Alright. And so we'll just, hey, wow, what's with the excess roll, dude? Guess we don't have quite the authority I thought we did. That's interesting. Alright, that looks good. So just, please don't pile into the ground until we're well over the landing site, please. What is with this roll? Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. So the roll and the errant wandering issue did kind of sort itself out. I think this was more a ID-10T error than anything with the spacecraft itself. But I realize now that why I preferred unlimited ignitions and a high thrust to weight ratio versus a throttleable engine is because we could stop a lot sooner. This thing taking 15 minutes to displace all of this delta V means having to start the burn 15 minutes before you get there. The problem with that is it arrests your speed so that you have to adjust upward to make sure you're still coming down on the target. Either that or I'm just a bad pilot who has not quite figured out a better technique for doing this, but the result of such is that you end up traveling upward, or at least I was unable to find that nice middle point where I could essentially hover while trying to compensate for that speed. And as you can see, we have a very long distance to cover while trying to slow down the whole time. Retrospect me should have killed the engine and tried to just replot some of this, because all of this balancing upward to maintain enough horizontal velocity to actually get us to the target was resulting in burn times that are exceedingly long. So I was trying to find this nice middle point where I could hover at a medium or low throttle so as to not gain altitude, but while still maintaining enough velocity to actually get us to the research center. But it was really not to be found, or at least I wasn't paying close enough attention to actually find it, although there were a few points when I thought I had found it. And there was a good chunk of time when I was looking at the Artemis's icon instead of my lander icon, and that resulted in going very high, which, yeah, this is not ideal. This is not ideal at all. And again, smart me would have turned off the engine, seeing as it has 3 ignitions, not just this one, and better utilized the fuel when we were closer to the ground and could make a actual earnest attempt to stop. But I don't know. This is just one of those things where, like, yeah, I just screwed it up. I screwed it up real bad. Not so much the delta V numbers. I figured we had more than enough disposable delta V to make this work if I could just get this balance right. Once I kind of got set in this mode of this is the way I'm going to do it, I didn't really stop to consider if all the other factors involved here, which was a huge mistake. And I can tell you as I record this voiceover, I regret it very much. But so I look forward to all of you in the comments telling me how I could have done this with this throttleable engine a lot better, because my current plan is to just entirely redesign the lander and go with a cluster of asterisk engines and try to get a much higher thrust to weight ratio so that I can come in nice and low and just do a high speed brake right above the target and land, kind of how I've done with all of the supply pod drops, because that method I seem to have figured out. But doing this with a much lower thrust throttleable engine, I don't think I quite have yet. And this is the part where I'm like, okay, I'm on course. I just have to start to arrest this speed and bring myself down very gently on top of it. I think I've got this whole thing handled. It's all in the bag. Everything should be good, right? Yeah, no. Because guess how long we've had this engine running? What just happened? Oh, no. Oh, no. Come on. Did we seriously just lose this engine? Engine shut down. Oh, good. That's just fantastic. Alright, well, we're going to have to abort this landing, obviously. Son of a bitch. Oh, that makes me very unhappy. Why do we... Oh, because this engine is open. Come on. I need to refuel this thing very quickly. In. Oh, that's... Oh, that makes me angry. Alright, well, we're going to have to... well, let's get pointed to a prograde vector, and then we'll stage it off. We've got the SRBs that can help us out. Oh, son of a... That's the first failure of a lunar descent stage we've ever had. Yeah. And we've got a good light on our ascent stage, so now we just need to hope that it's enough to push us into orbital speeds before we come piling into the ground. We are descending, but we're at 170 kilometers. I probably chose the absolute worstiest of worst descent paths for this. This is my fault. I just kind of assumed that engine would just run forever, although I guess the long and slow burn time is not... exactly going to work for a mission like this. Might just have to go back to the asterisks and abandon the throttleable model in favor of a high thrust to weight ratio. Anyway, we need to select a new target, namely the Artemis, set as target, bring up our rendezvous planner, and see what our relative inclination kind of looks like. Yeah, 0.76 and climbing. So we should fix this as much as we can here. Yep, that's the wrong way. See if we can't get that to below a degree or so. Oh, bitch. Oh, that makes me so angry. Get rid of that node. And so now comes that nice balancing act of trying to gain horizontal velocity while mitigating our descent vertically, and hopefully trying to bring ourselves up close to the Artemis, because we don't really have a lot of disposable fuel here. Well, live and learn, and hopefully this won't cost us a crew to figure this lesson. And again, I guess I just wasn't thinking clearly while flying this entire mission, because I should have been burning much higher pitched above the horizon, and I could have done this recovery a lot more efficiently. I did not build a whole lot of excess delta V into the ascent stage, figuring that I probably don't need it, seeing as how this is something I've done, I don't know, at least half a dozen times at this point. This is my first time ever having to do an abort on a lunar landing, however, so I guess this is kind of new territory, however embarrassing it might be. We've got 400 more meters per second to go. We're already down to about 84 kilometers altitude. Oh boy. Well, thrust to weight ratio is 1.6 here on the moon, so hopefully Bowman, well, I blame you. At least we'll still be able to complete the contract we came out here to do, which was just to have one Kerbal orbit the moon within a specified set of parameters, so, you know, maybe we got that going for us. So I guess the reality of how close I am getting to the ground now is starting to finally settle in, I think. I mean, it's been a little while, but burning straight to the horizon while getting us moving a lot faster is really not doing anything to take us from piling into the ground a whole lot faster. And you can see that Apoapus behind us moving well into the very high territories. Bowman. Come on, man. We're getting a little low on the Delta V front here, so we're going to have to unlock some of our reserve fuel. Down to 26 kilometers. Bowman. Don't do this, man. $22. Come on, come on. $18 kilometers. Oh boy. Fuel requirements are such that we really need our resultant orbit after this maneuver to be very close to where the Artemis is. There's our camera change. Just shut it down. Wait, when were you going to hit that 19 kilometer? Over here, that's a little bit low, so maybe we'll just ride this vector for a little while longer, bring that up to something a little bit more respectable. Artemis current altitude is 77, so maybe we'll shoot for that. Ullage, ignition. I know, not the most efficient thing ever. Okay, I think our apoapsis, periapsis have switched. Maybe? Yeah, there's our periapsis behind us. So we're going to spend the rest of this time climbing. That is fantastic. So let's just get out here to the apoapsis, add maneuver, and bring it up to the orbit of the Artemis. Maybe we can get an encounter or a close approach. No, but for 8.9 meters per second to put us well within the range of safety, I will take it. We do have well more than 582 meters per second left in the tanks. I'm just going to transfer them out of our reserve. Actually, maybe I should leave those two reserve tanks. These two, yeah, drained. That one's got quite a bit of fuel. We will save this as for thruster fuel for our docking. So 44 minutes until our node. Let's just, we can't warp any faster than this. Dang it. Oh, everything's going wrong today. Yeah. Well, enjoy the view, everyone. This is as close to the surface of the moon as you're going to get this trip, unfortunately. Is that enough to charge our batteries, or do we need to rotate? We are charging. Fantastic. Because there is no crew aboard the Artemis, it cannot move or maneuver or act as a rescue mission, which makes me very sad. Now we can warp a little faster. Alright, we're about 3 minutes out, so let's just go ahead and get angled in. Says the burn will take 3 seconds, but maybe we save the ignition. Don't think we'll really need it. And just how effective is our RCS? Oh, very, very effective. That's fantastic. All right, well, that's that. Well. So we basically get 20 days or so to rendezvous with the Artemis and make a good capture before they run out of life support. I really think that they have enough in the tanks to pull it off. Not 100%. We're 129 by 53 orbit. And that orbit every hour or so. And yeah, the Artemis is running away from us. So I guess we'll just have to see how well this goes. Now on this loose, I mean, it would have been a back of the napkin calculation, but really it was just kind of the looking at the change of things and how long an orbit takes. I'm going to guesstimate that it's going to take not that long. And the truth of the matter is it didn't. They sat in orbit probably about 2 days, and finally I focused view on the moon to stop giving myself that nauseating headache feeling. And just let the Artemis run up behind us, which, again, it took about 2 days, but we did, in fact, get there. And so I just spent many orbits letting them get a little closer and a little closer each time until they were finally close enough to where I felt like I could make a maneuver and get that rendezvous, or at least that super close approach. There it is. We're relatively close there, so I'm just going to tug at the node a little bit, and of course, even little motions, it just runs away wildly. But eventually we do settle on something that is fairly close, and close to close-ish. Of course, this is all just being done very, very carefully. A little bit of it on the scroll wheel, and a little bit of me sitting here contemplating my life's choices up to this point. But the node itself looks pretty good, and if we can nail it, then we should have a fairly good close approach. So I'll just pull the trigger, we'll time warp around, get a lot of it closer to our node. This thing turns like it's on rails now, just immensely maneuverable. And we'll just do this mostly on the RCS. I think I did in fact fire the engine. No, I guess not. We did this all in RCS. It's light enough now to where these thrusters actually do make a very big difference. And then it's just a matter of tuning it out and taking a look at that closest approach projection and deciding to make some tuning changes to it with, again, just little taps on the RCS. We'll fine tune it, and then we'll just get MechJeb to set us a node. Or I'll just tune it on RCS some more. There we go. There's MechJeb creating the node to match velocities at closest approach, and there's me flying right past it. Yeah, that was a good job, wasn't it? Well, we're only about 6 kilometers apart, and we do have an excess of delta V, so there was a little bit of me trying to decide what exactly to do and how exactly to go about doing this so that I could get this rendezvous done and over with. I was completely over it at this point with this mission, and is just ready to really reach some kind of resolution so where my crew is safe, and we can proceed with the return trip as planned. Yeah. However, it would take quite a while of me tinkering with nodes and just screwing about, because obviously I was just not in the proper headspace. Good for me. I would eventually just default to MechJeb and let him tell me where to go and when to do it, and that looks good. It's going to give us a fairly close node. I'll just fire the engine to make it happen, as it created the node pretty much exactly where we were, and then create another node to match velocities at closest approach again, and then trying very much not to run right past it. We'll just ullage in the engine. There we go. We are supposedly deorbited currently, but I don't think that's actually a thing. So we'll just face in towards the Artemis and start to fire these thrusters to bring us in a whole lot closer. And there she is, in all of her glory, empty and alone, waiting for us to return. She was supposed to be out here for a whole lot longer than this, but, you know, them's the breaks. So we'll just easily sail right up to the front. Now, since there's no crew on board, we don't have any avionics control, so we can't reposition the Artemis to aid in our docking. So unlike my normal super cheaty ways, I'm going to have to actually do this one entirely the legit way, by the books and whatnot. So being very careful, trying to translate just one axis at a time, and trying to figure out what controls actually point in what direction, because there's always some kind of confusion as far as that goes. And once I've got us lined up, we'll just start to drift ourselves closer to that docking port, to life support, and to safety. Well, maybe I am getting better at this docking thing after all. Out of target, lunar power couple on schedule. Out of power. What? We have lots of electric charge. Oh, I guess maybe that's, yeah. No, you got plenty of electric charge too. I don't know what that is talking about. Because, you have all the electric charge, and you have all the electric charge, so I don't really know what that means. And whatnot. But anyway, the crew is safe. They have now gobs of life support at their disposal. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and get them home, but I'm going to leave that for next episode, because we're probably going to be using that time also to make some changes to this lander so that we can actually get a crew to our lunar station. So anyway, that's going to do it for this one, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it, and I will see all of you in the next one. So until then, see you later.